Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our first impressions of the new releases from Crypta, Skindred, and Humanity's Last Breath. So 3 pretty wildly different sounding albums dropping today.
Yeah.
And I'll open the floor here. I started my day off with Smile by Skindred. This is a band I've heard of, but never actually listened to before today. So all I knew is that they were reggae metal. So I'm thinking, okay, let's see what they got. In my head, I was thinking this is like gonna be mostly reggae focused with maybe some riffs or whatever. And for the most part, it felt like the inverse. The first few tracks sounded great. Like the opening riff, super mean. Loved that. And I kind of felt like this album, like, we've noticed this year that a lot of early 2000s bands are just dropping albums, like out of nowhere. And this band is one of them. Like their first record was like 2002.
Yeah.
But I feel like this album actually has the early 2000s vibe. All these other bands don't really capture the vibe that they had back then, but this one did.
Okay.
Feels like that kind of party vibe almost, but some like mean, super awesome like throwdown riffs on top of that.
Okay.
I feel like they were able to capture that, and I thought that was pretty cool. However, I feel that partway through, like around the middle onward, the album started to slip on me a little bit. Kind of felt like after the first like 4 or 5 tracks, it just didn't really get back up to my level of enjoyment that I had with those first few tracks. In the middle, there is like a full-on reggae track, and I guess kind of from there onwards, it started to dip. Not because it was just a reggae track. I just kind of felt after that, the album kind of lost a little bit of steam. But overall, like I thought it was pretty good. I generally thought it was a fun album.
Yeah, my opinion's not the greatest of this. So I listened to Skindred back in the day, and I actually went back and listened to Babylon, which is my point of reference for this album. Probably most people's as well, because that's their biggest hit is off that album. It's called Nobody. I went back and listened to it thinking, I'll probably recognize a couple songs, because I kind of in my head just remembered a couple, right? I was wrong. The entire album slaps, and I remembered the entire thing. I went, oh shit, I forgot about this song, I forgot about this song, I forgot about this song. That entire album cover to cover is so fucking good. I was actually surprised at how good it was, and I'm surprised I didn't remember it that well.
And then it like even holds up like today.
It holds up today, and I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. I had it cranked in the car the other day. I was like, wow, this is sick. So I was pretty hyped going into this album, and this is not it. Like when you said, this sounds like that old school stuff, you don't have a point of reference. It might sound like old school stuff to you, but it doesn't sound like old school Skindred, at least not to me.
Well, yeah, it's like, it sounds like the general vibe, but I haven't heard old school Skindred, so I don't know how, like okay, I'll check that album out now that you're saying how good it is.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll get a point of reference like, oh wow, this is nothing like that, but I just don't have a point of reference for this band.
I mean, the band still sounds like they do, but there's a passion that it seems like it's not there. There's an attitude that seems like it's not there.
That's fair.
There's a kind of a griminess that seems like it's not there. I feel like, and I've said this before with other bands, and a lot of people don't like when I say this, but I feel like they're just trying for that radio hit. I feel like they're trying for that radio song. They're trying to just make it big and get that radio song out there. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're trying to make money. They're in the business, right? This is their job, so I can't fault them for it. But just the contrast between Babylon and Smile. By the way, I should disclose, I haven't listened to anything between those 2 albums. Okay, I liked Babylon a lot, but did not follow their career. I did not follow them at all. I've seen them live too, by the way, and they put on a sick show. That was back at that time as well, back in 2004, 2005, around there. But yeah, this album didn't do anything for me. I was listening to it, man, I feel like it's made for kids or something. Like maybe it's just my age, maybe I've grown out of that stuff, but that also doesn't make sense because I just listened to Babylon and fucking loved it. So
yeah,
unfortunately, didn't tick the boxes for me. I had high hopes for it. I've been hearing other reviewers are going crazy over this, saying this is a great album, and I'm like, shit, I'm gonna look like an asshole now because I'm shitting on it a bit, but it just didn't do anything for me, and that sucks to say. I'm sorry.
That's fair. Anyway, next up is Action by Humanity's Last Breath, and we reacted to a few singles from this album, and we liked what we heard. Now, last time we reviewed this band on the channel was Valde, which was their last release. Neither of us really liked it that much. I think it got like double 5 or something.
Okay.
And we got a lot of flack for that because a lot of people really like this band.
Yeah.
So based on the singles going in, I'm like, yeah, the singles were good and I liked those. However, there was still a part of my mind that said, well, I know what this band kind of normally does, so I'm still a little bit worried. Thankfully, I actually liked this album overall, and I feel like it is a step up from Balde. Okay. I feel like the issues I kind of had with this band is that there was too much nothing happening, too much just kind of...
It's risky to say.
That's just how it felt previously. I mean,
I got you.
Whatever.
I get it. I'm not sure if they'll get it.
That's how it felt for me. If it doesn't feel that way for you, then that's okay. But it didn't feel that way on this album. I found multiple points of riffs that sounded cool and consistency. Like there's a concept going on. It's not just like a drone and then maybe they're playing a bit and then another drone. You know? So Linger I thought was pretty cool, and there's some guitar sound effects happening during the verses, and I like that as well. And then Lifeless Deathless is a cool logical pace change from Linger, a bit slower. I like that too. But there were just multiple songs I'm noting, oh, this has got grooves. Withering's got the grooves. The second half of Labyrinthian, which I believe is one of the singles we checked out, is cool with this dirty riff, and then there's a drop afterwards. The triplets on the beat in the middle of Death Spiral, that was pretty cool. So the fact that there's multiple points of this album, I'm like, this riff is nice, this is nice, is really good. And I'm glad that this band, for me, took that step up from Balde and improved their sound. I generally thought this was a good album.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've listened to Balde, obviously, so I can't really speak to whether or not I think this is an upgrade or not.
I'm just going based on my experience. I haven't listened to Balde since we checked it out.
Yeah, but I do recall having, I guess, semi-favorable opinions of the singles and being semi-hyped for this album to come out. But after listening to it today, you mentioned us getting flack. I should put up my flack shield for a second because I found this album to be a bit uninspiring. I found it to be a bit boring, and it's hard to put into words exactly what my issue was, but it's kind of like when we talk about Lorna Shore, for example, we talk about that kind of like do the same things in every song. Like each song sounds different. They have different ideas and different themes, but they kind of do the same things a lot.
Yeah.
I felt the same with this album, where they're kind of just repeating the same kind of ideas, just in slightly different ways. There were a few things that stood out to me. Track number 5, In Still, had that kid choir part. I don't know if you caught that. It was like, I don't know, it sounded like this. I just wrote kid choir on my notes. I don't know how to.
Kid choir.
Yeah, but that's something that kind of stood out. I like things that stand out, things that separate a track from other tracks. Labyrinthian is also, you mentioned as well, this was probably one of the best tracks, at least on my listen. Had a really cool march type of groove in the middle. Unfortunately, that groove didn't last as long as I would have hoped because I was really digging it. And Catastrophize? Track number 7? What is
Catastrophize?
Catastrophize? Fuck, I can't read. Catastrophize? Weird words, man. Weird song titles, but I guess they gotta be creative. That one has some decent guitar stuff that stood out. The entire band, like I would consider this a guitar band. Like some bands I consider guitar bands, and usually that's melodic death metal, like In Flames is a guitar band. Amon Amarth is a guitar band. Arch Enemy is a guitar band, because they're like really sector focused. This is not that, but it's also very heavily focused on guitars. The main draw of this band, I find, is the tuning of the guitars, the lowness, the meanness of the guitars and the riffs. And I feel like just having that sound for 47 minutes is too much. It needs to be broken up. So that's my biggest issue.
I feel like if, like trying to look at like the type of album or type of band it is, like guitar band, that makes sense. But I also think I would say this band is a rhythm band. Very rhythmically focused. I would say like comparable to the likes of Meshuggah in that sense, that they are very focused on that. Fall. Yeah. Fall. So last but not least, Shades of Sorrow by Crypta. Now, this is another band that we checked out the singles for this album.
2 singles so far, another one to come.
Yes. Yep. And we were super hyped for this album because both singles we checked out sounded awesome. And after hearing the album, it held up. I thought this was a sick album, tons of cool moments and tons of songs. There was this random acoustic part near the start of Dark Clouds. I don't know if you noticed that. It just kind of came out of nowhere, like, whoa, what is that?
Acoustic?
Acoustic, yeah, and it kind of came back near the end as well. The intro to The Outsider, super duper cool. And, you know, that song got me noticing the bass tone, and I love when I can pick out the bass tone in these songs, so it just sounds awesome, and it gives the bass a little bit of a feature as well, which I think is super duper cool. Another song that I liked was Stronghold, and I was, you know, interested in... I'm noticing this a little bit lately, where bands are putting like their big long song in the middle of an album, and it makes you wonder, like, you're running a little bit of a risk by doing that, because if your second half can't pick it back up and get back to where the first half was after this longer song, and for reference, Stronghold's only like 6 minutes. It's just long in context of the album.
Right.
It's a bit risky to do that, but with the other side of Anger being right after, I think they did a good job picking the energy right back up.
Yeah.
That song is fucking awesome. And you know, and this happened when we checked out that Ex Mortis album. You look at an album before you listen to it, and you see all the song names, and you pick that one. Ooh, that one's probably cool.
Yeah, just based on the title alone.
The Other Side of Anger, I looked at that and said, that's going to be a sick song, and it was.
I think that's the next single as well.
Is it?
That we're going to be reacting to.
I knew they dropped the one. I didn't know it was that.
I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Dude. Well, I'm hyped for that now.
Yeah. We'll be reacting to that soon. Yeah.
Yeah. The only other song I really have notes for is Lord of Ruins, which is one of the singles we already checked out. And I think it is really good as a final track. There's an outro track after, but like the final fully developed track, I think it was effective as that. And it has a key change at the end, which is pretty cool.
Is that your note for that song?
My point is that it's a good final track. It's just an extra point that there's a key change. I was like pointing that out.
TV Fish loves his key changes. You know what? I had a really great experience with this album as well. As TV Fish said, we were super hyped coming into this. This band slays, and that's an understatement, I think, because every song is just phenomenal. And you mentioned the bass. I want to emphasize on that too. The bass is prominent through this whole album. It just sounds so crunchy and juicy. Yeah. Love it. The drums are immaculate on this album. Very, very busy on the drums. Lots of amazing fills and rolls. Some really cool beats and patterns. Just really, really busy, and I really like that. Vocally, again, just insane range, insane variety of styles. Really, really cool stuff. A song like Lift the Blindfold, there's some vocals in there that are just different than all the other songs, which I really like when vocalists do that. They just throw something else in a song here and there to throw you off as a listener and go, holy crap, where'd that come from? Really cool stuff. The interlude track, the intro track, which is an interlude, the Aftermath, I could do without it. I guess it does a decent job setting up the album, but I know on repeat listens, I'm just going to be like skipping it. Same with the outro, most likely.
They're short enough that it might not, like, they're about a minute at most.
It's a minute at most. It's not too bad, but once Dark Cloud starts, it just is super mean right out the gate.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff happening. Pinch harmonics, the solos are really nice. The track that I was gravitating towards the most is track number 9, Lullaby for the Forsaken. There's this cool like lullaby hum at the beginning, and then she does this like voodoo curse thing, and then this rad riff just kicks in, and the double bass kicks in after that. It's just like a nice progression of like build up intro kind of thing. I just love it. Really rad groove. The guitar solo is really cool, and I described it as droney in my notes, but that could be the wrong word. I have to listen to it again and really see what I meant by that. But this song overall has a more slowy and doomy tempo to it, which is kind of cool. It sets itself apart from other songs pace-wise, which is probably one of the reasons why I was drawn to it a bit. But overall, I was just like, yep, these guys delivered, right? They delivered what I expected. I had a bit of Cradle of Filth vibes in Lord of Ruins, by the way, in the intro, so I thought maybe you might have had that note. Which is why
I'd have to listen back to it to see exactly what you're talking about. But I mean,
it's I shouldn't say Cradle of Filth. It's more of a black metal thing, because I'm pretty sure it's like a tremolo picked type of thing, and I always associate tremolo picking with black metal. It's just like a thing that I do because so much black metal uses it. But Cradle of Filth specifically, older Cradle of Filth. This part reminded me of something, a song or part of an album or something from one of the older albums. I don't know. But yeah, overall, pretty cool. It's the longest album we listened to for today. It's 51 minutes, which, like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of in that sweet spot as far as length. Actually, I might have mentioned that on another video, not in this one. But yeah, I was saying 45 minutes to an hour is about the sweet spot for length.
Yeah.
13 tracks, 2 of them are interludes, so you look at 11 songs. That's not bad. That's pretty solid round of music right there, and it all sounds really good. So.
Well, anyway, guys, I think it's pretty clear that the album we're going to be reviewing throughout the week is Shades of Sorrow by Crypta. We both thoroughly enjoyed this album on the first listen, and we're going to be listening to it non-stop throughout the entire week, and we'll be back to give you guys our final review of that album. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching today. Remember to like the video if you liked it. Comment us in the comments below. What do you think of this album? If you made it to this part of the video, please type in the comments. Very nice, very evil. And subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
I'm by myself.
See you guys later.